Hello everyone, welcome to Mr. Hancock's English course. This video is for Comp 1, that is the narrative essay assignment. I've had some problems getting these videos on, so I know this may be late to some of you, but however you should have been reading the assignment and reading all of the handouts and everything that I have on Blackboard to this point anyway, so this shouldn't be anything completely new to you, but I just want to take a moment to explain what's expected in this video or in this assignment here. Okay, so looking at this assignment, you have to write one narrative essay, which is a story. We're telling a specific story. However, you have to distinguish and understand that while there will be a major creative aspect to this, unlike your other papers, it's still not a creative writing piece. You still have to have essay structure to it. So please keep that in mind, especially when you go back over the essay formatting handout that I have, the essay structure handout. But I've narrowed this down to 4 topics. You must write on one of these 4 topics. And I strongly believe everyone can grab at least one of these topics and at least having some kind of personal experience with it. But an embarrassing moment, that could be anything, something very humorous, something a little serious, whatever you'd like. And it doesn't have to be life-changing or the most embarrassing moment ever, but something in which you can say, yes, I had an embarrassing moment and it was something to me. The last stage or best or worst job, whichever one you choose if you've had a job. A bad date experience. If you've had a date, some people like to write about this. Sometimes they're very serious, but a lot of times they're very humorous. And a time you stood up to someone. It doesn't mean a physical fight with a bully or anything like that, but any time that you felt that you've had to stand up for yourself in some situation, especially to someone other in particular. That story is something that could be very beneficial for this paper. The due dates. Yes, you have a due date. Just look at your handout. I want to leave it vague in this video so you can always check your due date. But notice that we will always go through, and we talk about this in the essay structure and writing process video. But you'll always have an outline on Saturday. The next Saturday will be a rough draft, and then the next Saturday night, 11:59, all are 11:59 on Saturday nights. You'll have your final draft due. I always say to students, don't do the rough draft until you get your outline reviewed. So let me make comments on your outline, and use that to help you to build your rough draft. However, if you're just completely late on your rough draft and you're a day before the rough draft's due, or excuse me, if you're completely late on your outline and it's a day before your rough draft's due, don't wait for me to comment on your outline. It's just too late. There's no time left. You need to go ahead and move directly on into the rough draft. And that's the best thing for you, okay? And as always, if you miss one of those, if you don't get to turn in an outline or a rough draft, you'll have 10 points a piece taken off of your revised draft. So make sure you get those in. It's a minimum of 500 words. Now, I'll push this. This is a minimum, okay? Don't shoot for 500 words. You need to have at least 500, okay? So if you give me 500 words or under, I know that you're not pushing. You're trying to make 500 words. You need to go beyond that. It's not that hard. So we're looking at 500 words, about a page and 3/4, something like that. And you need to go beyond that, though. Anyway, here's the last thing I want to say in this video. I want to push this, and I'll continue this when we look at the outline in that video and so on. But for your narrative, before you do anything else, you need to think about this. It's your story. Number 1, you have to identify a story, and you have to explicitly state it in your introduction. Tell your reader what your story is going to be. Don't leave it so ambiguous and vague that we have no idea where the paper's going. You have to pick a story. Number 2, there has to be a purpose to it. All good narratives are not just telling a story just to tell a story. When you read your readings in your 50 essays textbook, you'll notice that they all have a specific purpose to it. They're trying to get a message across to the readers. So when you tell your story, you have to have a purpose in telling it. You have to ask, like, why am I telling this? What do I want my reader to get from this? You can look at it in the terms of a moral or a lesson or something like that, but that's the main part. Why do I want to tell this reader? What is the reader supposed to get about this bad date story that I'm going to tell? So really think of it that way. That's the hardest part, but once you get those 2 parts, then you're able to take those 2 parts form a thesis statement, and then move on into outlining and then to drafting. There's not much to say right now with the narrative, especially when it just comes to telling the story and what we'd be looking for as far as very good description, chronological order, dividing your body paragraphs up into good segmented parts, minor events within your larger story, and having every detail relevant, meaning it has to focus upon that purpose. What is that meaning? What do you want the reader to get? That means have every detail in your body paragraphs focus on getting to that point. Don't go off on a tangent. Don't go off on other things that have nothing to do with your thesis. That's what we'll avoid when we go through the writing process, okay? Well, there we go. I want to have these videos averaging about 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to stop here and so you can move on to your next videos. And if you have any questions, let me know.